Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the brutal, degenerative, dystopian, capitalist dictatorship of Kuala Lumpur. I hope you're having an amazing day, because if you're having an amazing day, well, I'm having an amazing day. And if I'm having an amazing day, you should also be having an amazing day. Today, we are shooting at the Botanical Gardens, which is the oldest public park in all of KL, right? Yes, it's been around since before I was born. It's older than I am, so you know how old it is, right? I mean, you know it's old, right? It was established in 1888, which is over 100 years ago, and it was meant as a way for European expats to get away from the hustle and bustle that they themselves created, you know, and to get away from the natives for a while, and to just retreat into nature, you know, basically a way for them to cope with their alienation as a result of capitalism. Anyway, I did a video on this place about a year ago. I'll put a link to that video in the description box. I mean, I did a video in this place about a year ago, but here I am, back again at the Botanical Gardens, shooting another video, because this is a place where I sometimes take my morning walks, yeah? So yeah, I will put a link to that video and you can watch it. But for today, let's begin. Oh look, there's a little monitor lizard over there. Let's see if we can approach it. Hello! Don't run away! Hello! Oh, I see. Oh, he's gone. Ah. Oh, look at the side effects of capitalism. How awful. How awful. You know, capitalism is creating a most heartless society where people just litter everywhere because they're only concerned about their own individual survival, right? Disgusting. Oh, where's he gone? Oh well. As you can see, it's a nice place. Very spacious. Enough to accommodate 1,000 people or more, you know. It's a very nice, spacious, airy place where you can get away from the hustle and bustle of KL every now and then, you know. It's also very, very peaceful in a way because, you know, KL is a real capitalist dystopian hellhole, but you get to get away from the hustle and bustle of KL every now and then. I mean, this is one of the last few refuges where you can actually get away from the hustle and bustle of KL. You know, it's one of the last bastions of freedom under capitalism, right? So this is a place that's free to enter, of course, because it's a public park, and it is to the, I hate to say this, but it's basically the British to whom we owe this pleasure. But of course it wasn't actually meant for us, but well, you know, we inherited it from them, so it's something that I would like to keep. You know, I was meaning to deliver this video to you guys yesterday, but you know, yesterday was a rather hectic day at the polling booths. As you know, Malaysia was having its state elections yesterday, so I really didn't have the time to shoot it yesterday, and I thought, since I was coming to Botanical Gardens on Sunday, why not show you guys Botanical Gardens? Yeah. It's a really nice place, you know. It's you'll find me hanging out around here on Sunday, just walking around and basically just enjoying our last bastion of freedom under capitalism, right? Before the capitalists privatize it in the end, right? But anyway, yeah. Before we end up paying like 20 ringgit to enter when the capitalists start privatizing this place. You know, enjoy it while you can. Yeah. You know, yesterday was a rather tense day for Malaysians, as you know, Malaysians of all colors and creeds were basically, you know, at the polling booths. Well, actually, to be honest, most of them, the young people, were not at the polling booths. It was mainly the older generation, which is funny, because it is the young generation to whom the country is going, right? In the next 60, 70 years, I mean, in the next 20, 30 years, you know, it is the young generation who will still be around, whereas boomers like myself will no longer be around anymore. I'm 33, so yeah, it's not exactly a boomer, but not exactly young anymore, right? So the young generation have sort of developed a certain nihilism about the future of this country, right? It's funny because the older people tend to be a lot more idealistic, whether they're left or right. It seems that youngsters have sort of fallen into a state of nihilism, basically, not really caring which way the country goes, you know, because basically for some reason I think young people under late stage capitalism have developed a certain sense of defeatism. You know, they feel as if, you know, one vote is not going to change anything, and you know, it doesn't really matter which way I vote, right? So yeah, there were far more older people at the polling booths yesterday when I went there, at least people who are above the age of 30, right? Than there were youngsters. You know, youngsters were at the shopping malls, hanging out with their friends, basically. Yeah, I feel that the young generation is not really emotionally invested in the future of this country, which is a shame, because as I've said, it is to them to whom the country is going in the end, right? But anyway, that hopefully will change when, you know, I hope to instill a sense of revolutionary optimism in the people, the young generation of Malaysia, you know, which is going to be a gargantuan task. You know, most people would sooner climb Mount Everest than try to revolutionize the youth of this country. But I'm willing to try, you know, anything's possible. Now, as you guys are probably aware, I'm a member of the Parti Sosialis Malaysia, which is the Socialist Party of Malaysia. Now, you guys know that we're a small party, we're not a big party, so many people don't even know we exist, right? Those who are aware of us, however, basically shun us. They don't treat us like a hostile enemy, but at the same time, the Socialist Party of Malaysia is sort of like in the back of everyone's mind, basically, because, you know, we're still a small developing party, a young party, if you will. But the thing is that this election was a little bit different from last election, because, you know, in this state election, the Socialists were actually competing, right? I mean, they have competed before, and they have won seats before, albeit rarely, but at the same time, you know, this election was when they actually went against the Harapan contestants, right? The Party of Hope, which was very and we were accused, basically, of many people. We were accused by many people, of basically splitting the votes, because, as you know, the left-wing parties in this country are parties like the Socialist Party, MUDA, which is led by Syed Saddiq, a young politician, a young Malay politician, and also the Harapan, which is the biggest left-wing party of Malaysia, which is comprised of parties like DAP, and ironically, the old regime, right, that was voted out by us last time, ended up joining with the Harapan party. So, compared to these big parties, the Socialist Party is basically like a party of mosquitoes, or a little mosquito, or a little anchovy, if you will, compared to them, right? And it felt like, you know, we were throwing an egg against a rock, because there was a right-wing. We were competing in my district, at least. The Socialist candidate was competing with two other candidates, one from Harapan and one from the far right-wing Perikatan Nasional, which is a borderline fascist party. And basically, what happened was many people were very upset with us, because they felt that the Socialist Party was actually splitting the votes between them and Harapan and giving the right-wingers, the right-wing fascists, a better chance of winning, right? And I can imagine many of my friends and family members are also very upset with me, because everyone was telling me to vote for Harapan, like vote for the Democrats, you know. Sorry, I'm just looking at the turtles down there. You see the turtles? Sorry. Everyone was telling me... Turtles are distracting. Everyone was telling me to vote for Harapan. But in the end, at the last minute, I still cast my vote for the Socialists knowing that they were going to lose, right? Knowing that we were going to lose by a wide margin, I still cast my vote. And people may find that counterintuitive, right? If you know your vote is going to lose, why would you cast it in the first place, right? But sometimes in this video, I want to make the point that sometimes it's not about winning, but about making a point, you see. It's not always about winning, you see, but making a point. I knew the Socialist Party was going to lose badly. I knew they were going to get creamed by both Harapan and the Perikatan Nasional Party, the left and right, the liberals and the right-wing party. I knew they were going to get creamed. I knew they were going to get, but still I voted for them. Because sometimes it's not about winning, but making a point, you see. Because you see, far too many people, unfortunately, have bought into this false consciousness that lesser evil voting is far better than voting for the party, the actual good party that's likely to lose, right? And unfortunately, this is an idea which has overtaken far too many people, right? The climate of fear creates this idea that, you know, between the two wolves, you basically have to vote for the less evil wolf, right? And you can notice the same thing in America, basically, when you have a choice between, you know, capitalist liberals like the Democrats on one hand, and on the other you've got, you know, far right-wing fascists, blood and soil fascists, who are literally, you know, basically the modern day incarnations of the National Socialists of Germany, the Republican Party, right? So people say like, oh well, you know, the Democrats are not that bad. Sure, they're selfish, rugged individualists. They're not very nice people, but at the same time, what is the alternative? The alternative is someone like Donald Trump, for example, someone like that who's an even worse fascist, right? So people are too afraid to vote for third-party candidates because they feel that their vote will be wasted. And I'm sure many people now think that my vote for PSM, but luckily in my district, the Harapan, the Liberals still won, okay? The fascists lost. But they think that my vote for the PSM, for example, was a vote of stupidity. Like throwing an egg against a rock, basically. Like a kamikaze pilot crashing into a ship, knowing that he's not going to enjoy the fruits of his labor, right? But I can assure you that it was not a vote of stupidity, but rather a vote of conscience. And among the people, the Socialist Party of Malaysia, you know, although we're at the back of most people's minds, most people regard us as polite, courteous, moral people, but they wouldn't deign to vote for us. At least even most left-wing people in this country would not deign to vote for us because they think, even though theoretically they agree with our ideals, right? At the very same time, to vote for us would be, in their view, a wasted vote, right? Basically, because, you know, we're not going to win, and basically it's a wasted vote that could have gone to the Harapan, the liberal, bourgeois, technocrat party, like our equivalent of the Democrats, basically. So they feel that, yeah, although they agree with us, theoretically, they still vote for Harapan for practical reasons, because they want to prevent the rising tide of fascism in the Perikatan Nasional, which is an openly fascist, national socialist, far right-wing party in Malaysia, right? They're very, very scared, especially ethnic minorities in this country are very, very frightened, because that party is the party that always points to ethnic minorities as the scapegoat for things like economic problems, the return of communism, and all these things. Yeah, so people are very, very frightened. And naturally, when you are frightened, you are willing to compromise, right? You are willing to do what we call lesser evil voting, right? And I don't want to call it the epitome of cowardice, because that's what some leftists will say. Some leftists will say that this is the epitome of cowardice, but I want to be understanding. I don't want to be judgmental, cruel. I want to be understanding. And I want to say that people are just concerned, right? They're concerned about their own survival. I don't think that if you voted for the Harapan party, for example, I don't think you're a cowardly liberal sock dem. I think that you did what was necessary in your view for your own existential survival. So I don't blame you, just like I hope you don't blame me for casting my protest vote for PSM, knowing that it was going to lose, right? But I want to say that the left and right, or let me rephrase that, the liberals and conservatives of any country are in fact two heads of the same snake, or two birds of the same, two wings of the same bird, if you want to put it that way, right? Look at the backdrop of Kuala Lumpur surrounding this park. Don't you think capitalist architecture is just so fucking ugly when you compare it to the beauty of nature? Just look at the beauty of nature and compare it to capitalist architecture. It's just so fucking ugly, don't you think so? Yeah, but anyway, I don't blame you for casting your vote for Harapan. You know, I think you did what you felt was necessary for your own survival. But the thing is, as I've said, the liberals and conservatives in America as well as in Malaysia are two heads of the same snake. Do you know why? Both of them, whether it be Harapan or Perikatan Nasional, may be different on social issues. Harapan may be more liberal, although they haven't exactly granted absolute religious freedom in this country, if you know what I mean, right? They're still more liberal than the right-wing party on social issues and far more inclusive of different races and religions. So, but in terms of their proximity to capital, both the liberals and the conservatives are servants of capital, in the sense that they both serve the almighty dollar, right? And so, what happens is that you have a situation where you have like a gun pointed at your head, basically, where people are kept in a climate of fear, right? The right-wing fearmongers its own people by telling them that, minorities or certain groups like transgendered people, LGBT people, what have you, are to blame for the problems you face in this country, right? Namely, economic problems. But the left, I don't want to call them left, the liberals, on the other hand, fearmonger you by saying, if you don't vote for us, what would come as a result? Oh, if you don't vote for us, well, you might be overtaken by Hitler 2.0, right? So basically, perversely, both parties basically depend on the climate of fear in different ways, right? The right depends on the climate of fear of the population, right? Right-wing populists depend on the fear of its voters, of bad groups, certain ethnic minorities, for example, or LGBT people. While the liberals, I keep saying left, but I should say liberals, they depend on their own voter base's climate of fear. The fear of being overtaken by a far right-wing theocracy is very frightening in many people's minds, especially Malaysian, Chinese and Indians are very, very frightened, right? And so both parties keep the people in like a hostage situation, right? Because they're too scared to vote for a third party. A party that will actually give religious freedom to the people, a party that will ensure, or at least do its best to ensure economic justice, not just to the technocrats, not just to a certain group of people, but to all people. They're so frightened because even though theoretically they may support the ideals of the Socialist Party, they are held back from voting for them because they feel that, oh no, basically, it's like throwing an egg against a rock, basically. They're not going to win, right? As I've said, no matter who wins, no matter which wolf gets to eat in the end, the people still lose. Because the wolf has basically gotten your vote, right? no matter who wins, the people still lose in the end, right? Because basically what happens is that neither the liberals nor conservatives in any country for that matter are interested in dismantling the systemic causes of poverty, right? They're not interested in it because fundamentally they are interested in their own class position, in maintaining their own class position. And that's why you notice that even among the liberal elites of this country in Harapan, the vast majority of their leaders are Western educated, upper middle class technocrats, right? Not to say that you don't have revolutionary potential if you're a Western educated, upper middle class technocrat, but the fact is that there's very, very little, if any, actual working class representation in these parties, right? Because fundamentally, even Harapan itself is a bourgeois party, just like the Democrats, right? So yes, they may appear to be more progressive on social issues, even though they matriculated the old wing or the old regime, the Barisan Nasional, which was a far right group, into their own government, right? You know, it seems like a bunch of strange bedfellows when you think about it, right? But anyway, I just want to say that, you know, whoever you vote for, it doesn't really, it's not the right, yeah, the people are still going to come up second, whoever you vote for, because basically establishment politicians, whether they are liberal or right-winger, they still serve capital in the end. And they will defend to the death their class position, right? Because basically they don't want to dismantle the system. Even liberals, like the Harapan group, are not interested fundamentally in dismantling capitalism. Because naturally they would lose their class privileges under capitalism, right? So why would you dismantle a world that suits you so well, right? But still, you know, you'll find that that the reason why I did my third party voting, even though I knew it was doomed to failure, was basically because, you know, I want to encourage Malaysians, I want to encourage more people, the masses if you will, not to be afraid. I want to encourage the masses to basically stand up and tell the establishment of both liberal and conservative that we will not be represented by you people anymore. And even if my vote against you fails, I will still vote against you in order to show my displeasure towards you, right? So that is the point of protest voting. It is a matter of voting for conscience. It is not a matter of romanticizing failure or romanticizing losing. On the contrary, it is a staging point for victory, right? You fall down, you get up, you fall down, you get up, right? Just like in the Rocky movie, I think they said, Rocky says that it doesn't matter how many times you get hit, it's about how many times you can keep getting hit and rise again. I have tremendous respect for the members of the Socialist Party of Malaysia. That's why I joined them. I only became a socialist when I was 30, you know. I started late in life. I'd always been a liberal before that, but I was left on the side of most liberals when it came to things like Israel and Palestine, you know. I'd always felt that, you know, liberals, there was something off about them. Something, although theoretically I agreed with their stances on social issues, I felt that, you know, there was something lacking. That was until I, of course, realized that, yeah, liberals are not left. And the only way forward is left, pretty much. So left is right and right is wrong, but those in the center are also right. Right wing, that is, not right as in correct. Oh, it's hot. I just think it's important for people to keep their revolutionary optimism up, to keep up their revolutionary spirits, not vote for parties that we don't feel really represent us, but because we're too afraid of the big bad wolf that could be the alternative, right? I think it's important for people to maintain this belief that a better world really is possible, and we don't have to compromise, we don't have to settle for the lesser of two evils. Just like there are three things that will never be hidden for long, right? Just like the Buddha said, the sun, the moon, and the truth, right? I don't think there's a need to compromise on ethics. I think that people should vote for the party that represents them best, right? And I also I hope that people on the left will not end up falling into a state of despondency and eventually end up joining the right-wingers. Like, I have literally seen in America, for example, so-called socialists who, after witnessing the failure of socialism to take root in America time and again, end up giving up and joining the MAGA, the Make America Great Again movement. Basically, if you can't beat them, join them, so to speak, right? I've literally seen that. And basically they no matter how much they try to cope, no matter how much they try to portray MAGA as an inherently socialistic movement, no one is buying their bullshit. Absolutely no one is buying the bullshit that they're trying to sell, right? So basically what these people cannot admit to themselves is that these people have sold out because they have given up hope in revolution, and they have chosen the path of less resistance, right? By joining the right-wingers, because they see right-wingers as strong, right? So yeah, I think it's important to maintain revolutionary optimism, keep our spirits up, even though we will encounter failures time and again, yeah? I don't expect the socialists to win the next election either, but I do expect them to do better next election, because we have done better this election than the last, right? Check out this table here, right? Although our results don't exactly look stunning, this is much better than we expected, right? We weren't expecting to get votes in the thousands. We were only expecting to get votes in the hundreds, right? But this is an improvement, right? It's an improvement, and things can only go uphill from here. It may take a decade, it may take 10 years, it may take 100 years, but the better will come if we're willing to fight for it, right? And that is why I voted for the Socialists, even though I knew they would lose, because I wanted to make a point that I'm not afraid of losing, as long as I know that I can pick myself up and rise out of the ashes again and again and again, until we achieve that world that we sought to achieve, that we went out to achieve, right? Because what are fascists but a bunch of overgrown bullies, right? Overgrown bullies who think they have a right to do whatever they want to the people, right? But here's the thing. If they take over, they can lock us up, they can kill us, but they cannot kill our hearts, our minds, and our souls. They cannot kill our revolutionary fever that is fast spreading throughout this land, right? And so, no matter who wins, socialism will triumph. In a matter of 10 years, 50 years, 100 years, but it will triumph. But we are going to accelerate that triumph for a better world. A world without exploitation, where everyone will have the freedom not only to pursue happiness, but the right to attain it, right? That is the goal of socialism in very, very simple terms. The idea that the happiness of man or woman is one's natural right, and it is not the right of anyone to take away one's happiness. And I just want to end this video by saying that, whether you voted for Harapan or PSM or MUDA or even the Perikatan Nasional, the right-wing party, right? I just want to say that we all want what's best for Malaysia in our own way, right? And one thing that I want to ask you guys, right, is when it comes to far right-wing movements like MAGA or Perikatan Nasional, we know that their followers, many of whom are not bad people, right? Many of these people would help you if you needed help on the street, right? But unfortunately, many of them also suffer from a state of false consciousness. Just like people who voted for the Liberals also suffer from a state of false consciousness, right? I'd like to end this video with a question to my followers. How do you break false consciousness to people who have been so thoroughly indoctrinated by the system? Because the only way we're going to have socialism is if we get the masses on our side to rally against the capitalists. How do we break false consciousness in people who have been so thoroughly indoctrinated? So let's think about how we can break people's false consciousness and create this brave new world that we desire. Alright, if you made it this far, I want to say thank you everyone for listening to my video. I'm listening to an old man ramble on. But I just want to say that I, who voted, and every Malaysian who voted as well, in our own way, cares about the future of this country, right? Even though our views may differ, our realities may be different from one another, I have no doubt that everyone who went to the voting polls yesterday has deep care and concern for the future of this country, right? And yeah, to anyone who voted, whether it is the left or right, I just want to say thank you for voting. And to all the parties who won, Perikatan Nasional included, congratulations, right? Congratulations, and please ensure that you fulfill your obligation to the people as promised, right? But you guys are only custodians, temporary custodians, because just like the capitalists were temporary custodians for society after the French Revolution, you guys, whether it be Perikatan Nasional or Harapan, will also serve as temporary custodians, a stepping stone to achieving socialism, right? Thank you, and have a great day.
Mm-hmm.